Hi there everyone, I'm Ashley Billington and you're watching The Campfire, our inside high school sports show where we break down districts from around the Metroplex. This week we're deep diving into 4-5A Division I. 4-5A Division I is going to be a competitive district as all 8 of these teams made it to playoffs in 2019. After realignment, here's a look at your new 4-5A Division I.
Burleson Centennial, Colleyville Heritage, Midlothian, Birdville, Richland, Red Oak, Mansfield Legacy, and Mansfield Summit.
It's going to be a super competitive district. You can vote for who you think will take the district crown on our Twitter, IHSS DFW. Now it's time to break this district down in the film session presented by your local North Texas Geico agents.
District 4-5A Division I is a potpourri of teams from other districts and classes, which should make for some interesting matchups. The only 2 remaining teams from last year's 4-5A are Colleyville Heritage and Birdville. Heritage has a new head coach, Kirk Martin, who was an assistant at Syracuse University last year. Richland and Mansfield Summit are dropping down from 6A to join this district. The Jaguars upset DeSoto last year and still have talented players like wide receiver Howell Presley, so they should be contending for the title. Red Oak could be the most interesting team in the district. They are coming off a 6-5A Division II title and are now moving up to Division I. They went 3 rounds deep in the playoffs last year, but this year they are introducing a new head coach, Michael Quintero. Midlothian and Burleson Centennial are also moving up a division. Both teams made the postseason, and Midlothian almost knocked off Aledo on the road. Now that they are away from the Bearcats, look for both of those teams to make a run at a title. Mansfield Legacy joins the district with arguably the best player, defensive end David Abria, who is committed to Notre Dame. The Broncos have always been a solid defensive team, but need the offense to click in order to contend. Heritage has some experienced skill position players in wide receiver Isaac Chabet and quarterback AJ Smith. Birdville graduated a lot of their offensive power, but the Hawks always have a running back waiting in the wings. Look for this to be a very competitive district with 6 or 7 teams competing for the 4 playoff spots.
And those great teams need great players. We turn our focus now to where the North Texas Honda dealers recognize the players on the rise, those players who are destined to help their team to greatness.
Richland's CJ Bakersville is a 2-way player for the Rebels. Defensively is where Bakersville stands out most. The safety had 85 total tackles in 2019 and 1 interception. Sophomore wide receiver Isaac Chabet came onto the scene for Colleyville Heritage in 2019. Chabet played in 14 games for the Panthers and had 43 receptions for 662 yards. He added another 713 yards rushing to his total and 17 touchdowns. Another big-time wide receiver from this district is Mansfield Summit's Howell Presley. The junior had 42 catches for 784 yards in 2019 and 8 touchdowns for the season. In his 2 years on varsity, Presley averages 66 yards per game. David Abira, Mansfield Legacy's defensive end, is a big name in this district. He will be a senior this coming season and is already committed to Notre Dame. In his junior year, he had 21 total tackles. Richland quarterback Cole Benson is going to be a veteran leader for the 2020 season. In 2019, Benson led the Rebels to the playoffs. He had almost 1,700 passing yards and 12 passing touchdowns. And those players are great on the gridiron. But do you know somebody doing great in your community? Nominate them for North Texas Honda Helpful Hero, a player, coach, or team going the extra mile to do good in your community. To nominate, go to IHSSHelpfulHeroes.com.
Now we go from player to coach as we talk to the men who lead their teams to victory in our Media Day segment.
I'm here with the head coach of Mansfield Summit, Shannon Hall. Coach, how are you doing?
I'm doing awesome, trying to stay busy.
And, you're dropping down a classification going from 6A to 5A. In the last 2 years, you were in the District of Doom in 7 6A. How will playing against the kind of competition that you're going to have in your 5A and 4-5A D1, how is that going to be for these next couple of years?
It's the same. I think they put us in the District of Doom in 5A now. I think this is probably going to be ranked one of the toughest districts in the state. I believe everybody in the district, everyone made the playoffs last year pretty much, so we're in a tough district. All good coaches, good players. So it's just going to be fun. It's no, nothing's going to be easy about it. So we just got to be ready to go as always.
And how do you coach your team through such a difficult district? Now you've done it for 6A and now you're having to do it for 5A. How do you coach your team to week in, week out, always be ready for that competition?
I think it's a mindset. I think it's how you prepare. I think we always have that in our back pocket, like, hey, there's no days off. And we've been through some things that the kids believe that there's no days off. And we kind of lean on that when we need to. But they have to know that you have to bring it every week, week in and week out, or you'll get exposed.
And another team that came down from 6A to 5A are the Richland Rebels. We talked to their head coach, Jed Cates. Coach Cates, how's it going?
Doing well as can be expected. Trying to soldier through this like everybody else. It's a crazy time in the history of our entire world, much less high school football.
Last year you guys kind of had a little bit of a slow start to the season, but an unbelievable run to make the playoffs down the stretch. Anything that you can take from last year's late season run as motivation for this year for you guys?
I think so. We were playing 10 sophomores who were going to be juniors, obviously, and we thought, to be honest with you, you never want to predict. I'm not much of a predictor. We coaches want to win. We prepare and want to win every game that we coach. But we thought with our pre-district schedule, first of all, the way we planned it, we knew that all those guys were going to be really tough. But secondly, we thought as we progressed through those things that we could be ready to play a certain quality football by the time we hit district. And then even then, our margin of error was razor thin. Of course, we won 1 by 1 and we won a couple by 3, and we did some things that to be honest with you, I think we're a year ahead of schedule. If coaches like to say that kind of stuff, we're excited about this coming team. But that spoke a lot to our senior leadership. It always does. We tell our kids, and I think a lot of coaches do, every single team comes down to the senior leadership. Nobody blinked, nobody panicked, we didn't start doing things out of the ordinary at 0-4 before district play began. We continued to do what we do because we believed in it, and most importantly, the kids believed in it, and it showed once we came into those really crunch time when you had to make a play here and there, and we made a few of them, and it was really fun. And to win 4 ball games in a season, usually people that don't know anything about it would say that that's a tough year, but it was one of the most fun seasons I've ever coached. It really was, because of the kind of kids we had.
And you guys are moving down from 6A to 5A, but still in a really tough district. It's very rare that a district has all 8 teams that made the playoffs the year before. In your eyes, how difficult is it going to be to navigate through this district in the coming season?
Well, it's funny. In anticipation of us talking, I actually looked at it again. It's crazy. 2 of us and Mansfield Summit are coming from 6A, and then 2 others, Midlothian and Red Oak, are coming from 5A Division II to make this district. Like you said, everybody was a playoff team. We have a couple of new coaches at Red Oak and Heritage, but that also have great lineages and have done unbelievable things. Then we have guys that have been at their respective places for a long time. We have unbelievable schemes when it comes to, we have spread offenses and attacking defenses, and then we have Burleson, Centennial, Midlothian, who run the old flexbone offense that presents its own kind of challenges. So we're talking about great coaches and great kids throughout, and I think it's the new wave of our UIL realignment. I really think our district is one of those that you can point to and say, this is kind of how it's going to be. Richland never has been with Red Oak, or Midlothian. That felt like a long way from here all these years. And now you don't know every 2 years what you're going to get into. And it's kind of exciting because I respect these coaches that we're going against, but I've never been to a couple of these stadiums. And it's funny as a coach, when you're putting together your non-district schedule, a lot of what I want to do is have competitive games, but also go to stadiums that I've never coached in before. And now I'm getting to do that in district play with places like Newsom Stadium down in Mansfield and going down to Red Oak and Midlothian Stadium's cool. And I know that sounds funny, but we never outgrow that no matter how long we're coaching. I want to go play in places and do it against neat people, and we're about to do that for sure every single week. There's no coming up for air in this district.
Thank you, Coach Cates and Coach Hall, for joining us here on the Campfire. We are so excited to have you on with us. And good luck to Mansfield Summit and the Richland Rebels in the 2020 season. Let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors, and let's answer a trivia question.
This week's trivia question: how many Olympic Games has Red Oak alumna Michelle Carter participated in? A, 1, B, 3, C, 4, D, 2. The answer when we return.
The North Texas Honda dealers recognize members of our high school sports community who take time out to be helpful heroes. Nominate a helpful hero today at IHSShelpfulheroes.com. The film session is brought to you by your local North Texas Geico agents. To find the office near you, go to geico.com/DFW. The District Breakdown is presented by GiveMeTheVIN.com. These teams make it look easy, just like GiveMeTheVIN.com makes it easy to sell your vehicle.
Welcome back to the Campfire. This week's District 4 5A D1 trivia question is: how many Olympic Games has Red Oak alumna Michelle Carter participated in? If you answered B, 3, you're correct. She participated in Rio in 2016, London in 2012, and Beijing in 2008.
And third time is the charm, as Carter brought home a gold medal in the shot put in the last Olympic Games. Her father also competed in the 1984 Olympic Games and brought home a silver medal. Now it's time for the District Breakdown, presented by GiveMeTheVIN.com. We have our Inside High School Sports Insider Ryan Harris on to break down all things for 5A Division I. Ryan, over to you.
Thanks, Ashley. And today we're talking 5A Division I, District 4. And man, is this going to be a tough district. We've got a few teams that have moved up from 5A Division II, and we've got a few teams that have moved down from 6A. And all of these teams experienced success at some level last season. They pretty much, every team in this district made the playoffs a year ago. We'll start with Burleson Centennial. They're 21-4 over the last 2 years, and half of those losses came to district rival Aledo. So this team is battle tested. They are prepared for Division I play after spending the last 2 years in Division II. Quarterback Hank Meyer is going to return for his senior season, and Centennial's going to push for a playoff spot. Now, Colleyville Heritage bounced back a year ago, going 9-5 after a disappointing 2018 season, and they're returning wideout Josh Dobbins and running back Isaac Chabet. Mansfield Legacy struggled to a 4-7 record, and they snuck into the playoffs after 4 wins against Dallas ISD schools a year ago. And this is a team that's going to have to play much better in 2020 if they expect to make the playoffs again. Summit, they finished 7-4 in 2019, and they played in 6A. They actually beat a talented DeSoto team and were competitive with Cedar Hill in district. So this is a team that experienced a lot of success against really good 6A teams. So imagine what they're going to do in 5A. Midlothian went 8-3 in 2019. They had just 2 losses in district and 3 losses overall. They lost to South Oak Cliff in the playoffs, and they were competitive in every single game on their schedule last year. I expect them to do the same this year. Now, Birdville went 9-4 last year. They were 12-2 a year ago, or 2 years ago, but they're losing quarterbacks Stone Earl and running back Ladarius Mixon. That is going to hurt them a lot, and they're going to have to replace that production somehow. They do return a lot of talent along the offensive line to protect whoever fills those shoes that Earl is leaving behind. Richland's moving down to 5A from 6A, and they went 4-7 as well, but they snuck into the playoffs after winning 4 straight games at the end of their schedule to make the playoffs. So again, you don't know exactly how they're going to respond to being in 5A after being in 6A. I know they went 4-7 last year, but they should be competitive with a lot of the teams on their schedule. And Red Oak is the last team in this district, and they are back. Football is fun again at Red Oak. Red Oak went 11-2 last season. They were 9-2 the year before. They fell to Aledo in the playoffs like so many other teams have in recent memory. But they do return quarterback Josh Urban, and he'll have a familiar target and big tight end LaKelsey Johnson to throw to. So this is going to be a competitive district. This is one that I'm really looking forward to. There's talented players across the board, talented teams across the board. Again, they pretty much all made the playoffs last year. So this is one that we'll want to watch next year.
District 4 5A Division 1 is obviously going to be a tough one to get out of. Ryan, thank you. I'll see you next week. That's all we have for this week's episode. Come back every Monday for a new show. Next week, we'll be breaking down 5A Division 1 and talking about all of the things that you'll be seeing in that district. Until next time, I'm Ashley Bullington, and thank you so much for watching The Campfire.